Here is a train. Here are some leaves. How can these stop this? It's autumn here in Britain. In America, fall. In the southern hemisphere, not autumn at all. This season brings with it the endless horror of Leaves on the Line. Leaves on the Line are one of those great clichés of British railways. They also sound, on the face of it, like about the lamest excuse imaginable for a train getting cancelled. But they've been causing problems for the railways since the days of steam. The problem is not that a train can't get past Leaves. Rather, the problem is that some trains can. The way it works is this. Leaves fall on the line. A train arrogantly passes over them, squashing them into a pulp. The train is fine. The problem is for the trains behind, because now there's a whole lot of slime on the track. Network Rail describes this slime as the rail equivalent of black ice, although I'd argue that ice is also the rail equivalent of black ice. The problems this causes are twofold. Most obviously, it's slippery. Trains have smooth wheels running on smooth rails. They are a very low-friction technology, which is why they're such an efficient way of moving heavy loads. But this also means that they're vulnerable to, well, anything that reduces friction even further. So a heavy train that runs into Leaves on the Line may find itself slipping to a halt, particularly on a gradient. Or, riskier still, it may be unable to brake properly. In the days of steam trains, when brakes were more primitive and trains were heavier, this was the great risk with Leaves. But these days there's another hazard. On many modern lines they use what are called track circuits. The way it works is this. Attached to each section of track you have a power source and a relay. When a train is on that section of track, the current bypasses the relay, and this, in turn, lets staff know exactly where there is a train. It's an essential safety feature. For instance, here at Epping Signal Cabin, which you can visit by the way, the presence of a train is marked by a section of this diagram going dark. The problem with this leaf mush is that it's an insulator. When a train passes over the section of track that is all slimy and gross, it disappears from the board in the signal box. And this is an extremely dangerous situation. Obviously, if you don't know where the train is, you cannot risk sending another train down the line. Staff have to determine exactly where the lost train is and also where the problem with the track is. A team will have to be sent to clear the gunge off the rails, and in the meantime, all traffic has to be halted. It's not just the rails, though. In some cases, the gunge can stick to the wheels themselves. This is more of a problem with disc brakes. With older rolling stock, brake shoes pressed against the outer edge of the wheels when they were applied, which had the side effect of scraping them clean. And it's not just Leaves. As I mentioned earlier, ice is a problem. So are sleet, rain, and all the other joys of the British summertime. Not such a problem in Britain, but there have been several recorded incidents of massive numbers of insects causing disruption by getting smushed up under trains. These issues collectively cost railway companies hundreds of millions of pounds every year. Now clearly none of this is a situation you want unless you're a train robber or something, so what can be done? Well, most obviously, avoid having trees by the trackside. Generally, trees by the line are a risky proposition. They can not only drop leaves, but they can fall onto the track. In the days of steam trains, the standard method to improve adhesion was to put sand on the rails to increase friction. But with track circuits, you end up with exactly the same problem as with Leaves. Sand is an insulator. Fortunately, science has come to the rescue with the invention of sandite, which is a mix of sand, antifreeze, and, crucially, particles of steel. Network Rail operates special trains that you'll see around Britain's railways in autumn and winter. These operate by spraying the rails with high-pressure water to clean the leaves away, then following that up with a layer of sandite. It's not a perfect system. Obviously, the sandite will eventually wear away, either through rain or through the passage of trains over it. Other, more experimental methods have been tried, including high-voltage electricity, freezing it with dry ice, blasting it with ultrasound, or zapping it with a laser. But ultimately there is no completely 100% foolproof system. And that is where I will leave it for today. Well, Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon and here on YouTube for your ever-generous support. You are the steel particles to my sandite. And I'll see you all again very soon. Cheerio.